Do your players like supernatural gifts or boons to empower their characters? Well, Orolunga in Tomb of Annihilation can dish these out if your players can reach the Guardian Naga who resides in a magically protected ziggurat in a thick jungle. Because Orolunga is surrounded by jungle and overlooked by the Mist Cliff mountain range. Undead probably won't trouble the party, but the relentless slog through overgrowth maybe will. You could fill the journey there with maybe a party of grung who ambush the group near a watering hole. They might revere Orolunga as a holy mountain, but given exotic insects, they may offer cryptic warnings about it. Perhaps add restless spirits of Chultan warriors or pilgrims who failed to gain access to the Naga. What about Dino Stampede, where the party must climb trees to avoid being stomped? As you approach the ziggurat, drop in the coloured flowers in patches that they're going to need, just to hint at we saw them earlier. Once they've discovered the many-levelled climb to the top, they'll see that at the bottom it's all difficult terrain, overgrown with weeds and vines for 10 feet. And after that 10 feet, the vines and thorns up the steps will do automatic damage. I made a flat map to illustrate the danger zones. Could they potentially move 10 feet at a time and therefore avoid that pain? I say no. Vines and thorns then scratch at them for every 20 feet of travel. Forwards but not backwards. Allow them to retreat. Destroying the vines doesn't work. In fact, don't allow any subversion of that damage, in my opinion. It's because of stronger magic than the PCs, is the DM's response to their moans. A Chwinga appears holding 2 flowers, an orange and a purple one. As it goes up to the next level, the roots and vines retract and then come back in. What's the opposite of retract? Come back in. It takes a whole hour to find these flowers, or 30 minutes if you have some sort of nature skill. I mean proficiency, not just that you have the nature skill, everyone has that. I had my players each need to roll 2 consecutive survival checks to acquire the flowers. People with nature proficiency would have advantage on that roll. Upon successfully reaching that second level of the ziggurat, they'll find that the way forward up the steps is brittle. The steps just crumble to dust, so that no forward trajectory is made. Another Chwinga holding 2 flowers and a red parrot feather comes out of nowhere, and it seems to float lightly up the steps. So the players can either go down and find a red feather as well, or they can shout for anyone who's not got up to go and get us some feathers. Climbing back up from the bottom requires the same slashing damage if you haven't got the flowers on you. Once that 3rd level is reached, snakes pour out of holes in the steps. Poisonous snakes which constantly bite at the players. So allow a couple of swarms to be being fought, and as they're killing 10, 15, 20, another 10, 15, 20 are coming out of the steps. This is not how you go forward. A Chwinga appears and hits a snake on the head with a flower, rubs it down its back or on its tummy neck with a feather, and the Chwinga lays down on its front and the snake goes into its throat. These are the actions the players have to do, because the Chwinga now slithers unimpeded up the steps. The PCs, however, have to do a con save of 10 to not throw these snakes back up. Evil aligned players do this with disadvantage because the Naga doesn't like evil aligned players. It is 5d6 psychic damage to any vomiter, and the DC will go up by 1 for every puke. Around the doorway to the entrance at the top are labyrinthine designs associated with Ubteo. Entering without the flowers or even the feather, I think, means all you will see is an empty room, which smells of incense. There is never a way for that player to see the Naga now, as written. Players who still carry the flower and the feather are whipped back to a time when this place was decked out with flowers, lanterns and pillows. The Guardian Naga will greet the party and warn them that any lies will be seen through. If you're finding any value in this, please subscribe. The Guardian Naga is AC 18, 136 average health, immune to poison, charmed, paralysed, poisoned and restrained. It makes 2 bite attacks and can swap out 1 for a poisonous spittle attack. The bite is +8, a reach of 10 feet, 17 average piercing plus 22 average poison. The poisonous spittle is a con save of 16 and it's a 60-foot range, doing 31 average poison damage, and the target has a blinded condition until the start of the Naga's next turn. It can cast True Seeing, Gaish, Flame Strike, Cure Wounds and Clairvoyance. And I think it's been around enough for you to put whatever else spells-wise you want it to have. But it is lawful good. Now this is the one main scene where Artis and Dragonbait could potentially meet the players for the first time. They are in conversation with the Naga about Umbala and its destiny. And this should set in motion Artis's quest to kill Raz Nasi. Saja will say if you kill Raz Nasi, he will grant you a boon. Remember, she sees into their souls. So any person who doesn't really want to do it doesn't get a boon. Any person who's a bit iffy about it gets Gaish. You can open your DMG to the charms and say, choose one of these. Charm of Animal Conjuring allows you to cast Conjure Animals 3 times. Charm of Dark Vision, you get Dark Vision 3 times. Feather Falling, 10 days of Feather Falling. Charm of Restoration is 3 charges to cast Greater Restoration and Lesser Restoration. Charm of the Slayer, 1 weapon becomes a Giant Slayer or a Dragon Slayer for the next 9 days. And Charm of Vitality gives you a portion of Vitality's effects. Of course, if you're feeling a bit inventive, you can make something else. But the book says, upon leaving, there's no way to meet the Naga again, and the Ziggurat always looks in ancient ruin condition from now. But you could have not be the case, of course. But don't grant any more buffs. Just dish out knowledge or clues. The bottom of the steps is no longer difficult terrain, it's in fact covered with blue tulips, as if you've marked off that area. Alternatively, have Saja be a quest giver who can reward with prophetic visions or ongoing magical aid, which stops when Raz Nasi is killed. But maybe don't tell them that bit. Now, if you aren't keen on the whole climbing up the steps mechanic with the Twingers, then maybe try this. Each of the 3 levels has some sort of a trial. Level 1, Trial of Wisdom. Solve an ancient puzzle involving the alignment of celestial symbols or crumbling murals. You can cut up some cards, mix it up, have them rearrange it. Next, Trial of Courage. Have them face illusory fears in flashback kind of form from each of the characters' past. You can play out each scene individually and have the main player use their character sheet and have the other 3, 4, whatever, use the survivor stats from Van Richten's guide. So they're actually playing characters, very brief ones, but in a dream scenario. Finally the Trial of Compassion. Aid some trapped spirits who died on these stairs. A ritual perhaps where everyone has to do some skill checks to keep the ritual going. And yeah, they can start again, but they all have to have 2 consecutive successes perhaps. Well, that's all I've got for this place. If you want another video, why not try this one? YouTube thinks you've not seen it and you'll like it.